We're going live. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Yay. Today's April 18th, Saturday, April 18th. Welcome to my podcast. Today, I am super excited to have celebrity chef Todd English. Very handsome, very debonair. Yes, ladies, he is that good looking in real life, too. And our goal here on this podcast is to educate while entertaining you. So I want to educate you about all things health related. Right now we're talking coronavirus, but eventually, I'm a weight loss surgeon. We'll talk about weight, diet, exercise, things like that. But we're going to do it in an entertaining fashion. So I've brought on a slew of celebrity actors, actresses, musicians, and people with an uplifting, inspiring message. Today, it's going to be Todd English. But while we get started, hey, listen, we're doing a great job. We've really blunted that curve on coronavirus. Keep doing what you're doing. We're making a huge difference, right? Stay home, wash your hands, social isolation. But do me a favor, share the broadcast because we are live on Facebook, but we're also live on YouTube. So go ahead and share the broadcast for me. Let's get Chef Todd the audience that he deserves. This man has done it all. He does a lot with charity. He does so much good work. We really, really need to hear his message, uplifting message. And we know for a fact that a lot of people have been hurt with this coronavirus, and a lot of businesses are hurt. Sergio's in the house again. John Clark is in the house. Hi, Mike. Beth, good morning from Odessa. I'm currently in Houston. And Anna Tran, how are you doing? Great seeing you. Hey, Lisa. What is up? Ada, Grace Ann. Wow, cool picture, Grace Ann. Akron, Ohio is in the house. I know we are international. Where are you guys calling from? Glenn Langford's in the OC. Good morning, Vicky. Oh, here we go. Hi from Florida. Chef Todd is in the waiting room. He wants to see where everybody's coming from, where everybody's calling from. Oh, look, here we go. Fairbanks, Alaska is in the house. Where are you guys calling from so I can show Chef? South Texas, Anna Claxton. All right, here we go. Super M. Snow, Indiana. Milford, New Hampshire. Who's international? Give me some international people. I know big following in Australia, big following in England. Oh, Louisiana is kind of a country of its own, kind of, sort of. Here we go. Sweden's in the house. Uh-oh, I miss Sweden. There she is. Teresa Kleender from Sweden is watching. Awesome. Chicago. Bunch of Canadians. Houston. Oh, there we go. Canada is in the house. Hi, Stacy. You guys doing good? Cynthia from Maryland's watching. All right, I got to get going here. Chef's like sit there going. Oh, look. Oh, God, this is coming by so fast. I miss Texas. I miss New York City. I was trying to bring somebody up. Let me see. Oh, there you go. Here's Canada, Quebec. All right, this is boring. Everyone's like, hurry up, get on with the show. We want the chef. All right. So today is April 18th. The current coronavirus totals are looking pretty good. The numbers we were expecting to go up. 2.2 million cases worldwide, over 150,000 deaths, which is better than expected in this time. We have 681,000 cases in, oh, wait, no, that's not right. We have better than expected. One death is bad enough, but 33,000 deaths today. So everybody stay safe. All right, let's bring on Chef Todd here. All right, so I disappeared. All right, I'm back. They're trying to shut me down, Chef. They're trying to shut me down. All right, everybody. Awesome. 500 people watching. Let's do this. Hi, everybody. Dr. Vong here, world famous bariatric surgeon, author of 13 books. On my podcast today is definitely world famous celebrity chef Todd English, and author of several books. Todd English is a well-known celebrity figure in the culinary world. He's a James Beard Award winner, which is like the Oscars for all chefs. and recognized as one of the best living chefs in the world. He has restaurants throughout the world, including New York City, Las Vegas, California, Dubai. He has a new project he's going to tell us about today. He does a lot of charity work. He has a very inspiring, uplifting message, and that's why I wanted to bring him on my podcast. So give me a big round of applause and help me welcome my very good friend, Chef Todd English. Yay!
Hey, buddy. How are you, Doc? How you doing, Dr. V? Good to see you. All
I'm
right.
good. I was nervous.
We figured this out. I'm very excited. I'm not very, tech is not my thing, but okay, we're on. You made it easy for me.
This is awesome. This is awesome. You look great. You look
Thanks,
great.
brother. You too, man.
Yeah, so you've done a lot of TV, and you were on QVC. You have a line of cookware, all sorts of stuff. Of everything you've done, the James Beard TV shows, cookware. What's your proudest achievement?
Well, of course, my 3 children. I would be saying that my 3 beautiful children, and my daughter's a chef, and she's kicking ass, and my 2 boys are both. My oldest son is in broadcasting and acting, and my youngest is the film producer, and I mean they're just doing great things, and in this world and in this industry, doing a lot of stuff with like UC Davis and accounts like that on agriculture and and about sustainability and about all the things that we are concerned about, in the world today. And so they're working on a documentary. They're probably going to kill me that I'm already broadcasting this, but it's called Feeding Tomorrow, and just how do we, actually sustain and make sure that people aren't going hungry, and how do we feed people in this world that are going hungry. And that's obviously one of my big causes. I do a lot of stuff with a lot of charities around that, and and especially in a time like this, it's even more necessary that we figure these things out, as you know.
Yeah. So you normally reside in New York, but you're stuck in California.
Yeah. Not a bad place. I must say, I'm in Ojai, California, and where I'm embarking on it's kind of this whole situation kind of put this into high gear. The projects that we're working on here, which is very exciting. So I'm probably going to be out here a lot more now, and close to my kids. They're out here, so it's awesome. Yeah, it makes sense.
I don't know if you know, but my girlfriend Erica is a waitress at Capitol Grill, and so she's been affected by this coronavirus. Restaurant shut down. What are you hearing from your friends in the restaurant industry? How are they helping their workers and employees stay afloat during this time?
Well, those of the restaurants that are doing some sort of take to go, not all of my colleagues are doing that, but there are some of, I have my restaurants in Boston, my Figs, which are doing, pick up and to go, and using, the different various delivery services to get the food out. But it substantially cut my staff down. I mean, with all the restaurants, there's over 1,200 employees that basically are out of work, and
wow,
I'm trying my best to make work for them, but honestly, this came on so fast, and I've talked to I've talked to Thomas Keller, I've talked to John George, Danielle Boulou, Wolfgang Puck, all those guys, all my peers and colleagues, and I'm like, no one really knows exactly how to fix this. We definitely are relying on some sort of government bailout. We need some sort of support, because think about what a community is. The core of and the substance of many places is defined by their restaurants, their cafes, their coffee shops, etc. That provide that service to people, which is a daily ongoing. We have to eat every day, so that's what we look for.
This week, President Trump announced that commission of different industries, and he had the restaurant industry, and he had your friend Jean Georges mentioned on the commission, but it seemed like it was a lot of big corporate restaurants. What have you heard from them regarding that meeting and that panel? Is it positive news coming? Are they is helpful.
I'm hoping so. Yeah. I mean, I think, we're starting to see some checks filter. One fortunate thing, and I've been on with Donald Trump Jr. as well and talking to him about, but as he mentions to me, don't forget, we're also in this business too. They have hotels, they have, so where the president can't directly obviously be involved in supporting that. But what I really worry about, my biggest concern is the mom and pop places, the smaller places. And I think the Restaurant Association announced that if this continues by the end of this month, I believe the numbers are staggering. It'll be over 120,000 restaurants will shut their doors and never to reopen. And and that, I've been doing this for over 30 years, and that is a sad state. And I just think that for those people that work their tails off, and I know what it takes, obviously, to run even just one restaurant is it's a hard, and if it's your family restaurant, it's your family everything. What are you going to do? If there's not a lot of, they don't make, in the smaller restaurants, make a decent living, but it's a living. It's not like you have to work at it every day, and the margins get smaller. Real estate prices were going up. You started to see the crash a little bit in New York on the East Coast because the rents were just ridiculous. And who are you working for? The landlord. You can't work for the landlord. And then so make a living. Cost of goods were going up. Then labor. We have a lot of the labor. Of course, you want to take care of your employees, but you have to stay in business. So there's sort of the double-edged sword, two sides of the coin, if you will. That we're looking at.
What you're saying is like what we could do to help our local restaurants right now is just to order that takeout from our local restaurant.
Yeah. And we're getting tons of support. People are coming to my restaurants in Boston, and they've been so thankful. And we've been sending out 50 to 100 pizzas and meals, thousands of meals so far, pretty much every day, to hospitals, nursing homes. As much as we can load in our vans, we load, and we'll drop them off at the ER at the Mass General, or we go to Tufts, and we mix it up as much as we can. All the big hospitals in Boston, where their emergency rooms are packed and they're working 24, around the clock, and it's daunting. I've been FaceTiming with some of my staff there, and I look at this and I go, oh my gosh, this is. These people are superheroes.
That's awesome. Hey, everybody who's watching, man, if you guys want to support Todd, Chef English, please hit share for us. Let's get more people in on this broadcast. It would be really amazing. He's sitting there delivering food for our healthcare workers and people on the front lines fighting this, and at a cost to himself. So please hit share. Let's get more people on here and tag some friends and really support Todd. What do you think? How's the restaurant industry going to be different after the restrictions are eased?
I think it's going to be slow coming back. I honestly think it's not going to. I think that there will be a restaurant industry. Obviously, it's going to be, people are going to be obviously skeptical and feel a little nervous about going into public places. We will have to have, obviously, social distancing in the restaurants, which is going to be tougher to actually make them work.
Earn a profit.
Profit. Yeah. I wonder, if those crowded cafes that you go to in New York or Paris or LA, or, where you kind of elbow to elbow, are they going to come back? Maybe not in the same way. I think that eventually people will. And you could help me with this, Doc. As far as a cure, as far as a cure, as far as a way that people are actually getting back on their feet and feel secure to go out and be in public places without a mask, without gloves, etc. I think that's the only thing.
Hard to eat at a restaurant with a mask.
Yes, I know. So they have to design a special zipper for the straw, so you can sip your cocktail.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, because it's one thing for the government to say, hey, you guys can go back to doing normal activities. And it's another thing for people to say, okay, I want to go out there. So what we do need, like you're saying, is an antibody test to
Yeah.
see who's been exposed and who has resistance to coronavirus. And then I probably foresee where people are going to be checking your temperatures. What they did in Korea, which was kind of interesting, was that they tested everybody, which we can't do in the United States, but they tested everybody. And then they created this app on your phone that said you were positive or negative. And it could track you based on your phone. So if you were positive, you were allowed to go anywhere. I mean, if you were negative, you were allowed to go anywhere. If you were positive for the coronavirus and they saw you leaving your home, they would fine you. Like,
wow.
That's how they shut down South Korea, by the way. We're not quite to terrorianism like that.
Yeah, that is
not quite strict like that, but it'll be something along those lines where you have to show some sort of proof that you have some sort of immunity, right? And then if not, then maybe check your temperature before you go in, even though that's not very sensitive, quite honestly.
I don't think so, right? No. I hope that's just, to me, honestly, that's tragic that happens. That we will be controlled that much, and I don't know if there's. I don't. Who knows? There's a whole political side of that I don't even want to get into right now.
We can talk conspiracy. A lot of time looking at the conspiracy stuff, but I want to talk a little bit more about what you're working on because you contacted me. You're like, hey, let's talk about superfoods, and so what's your thing with superfoods right now?
Well,
because we should stay healthy. When we're over this, it'd be better for the next wave is to make sure we're healthy.
We talked about all of this so many times, in our conversations about immunity and about the immune system and about how we stay healthy, from the inside out. So in other words, preventing as opposed to fixing, which is what you really work on in your practice, I know. And I'm like, I think it's time, and this is maybe a good lesson for all of us. Okay, if you think about, first of all, environment for one thing. If I was driving in LA last week and I was like, wow, it's so clear here. there's no pollution, which is like unusual because there's always sort of that little, yellow fog in the air, or whatever color it is that day. Or, you think about canals, you think about trees. I think the world kind of feels like it's getting a break. And a friend of mine lives in Bombay, in India, in Mumbai, and they showed me a video of how clear the skies were. And so there's no one on the streets. And so from that standpoint, glass half full, I am hoping that we will look at this and there's some lessons to be learned that we don't forget. And so as far as the superfoods and the way we diet and the way we look at how, we eat, I think it's something, my sons are very involved in this. My son told me we kill 56 billion animals a year in this country, everything in the world. And perhaps maybe we should start thinking about a little bit more of a plant-based diet. And I mean, I know you're a big fan of that. And I I think, maybe it's an 80-20 rule, but what we do eat when we eat meat or we eat any flesh, it's wild caught or it's farm raised and it's, humanely handled, expandable, et cetera. So what I've gone, so here I am in Ojai, California. I'm working with some dear friends of mine, and we had actually been working on this about a year or so ago.
Hey, before you tell them about your project, can I share the story of how we met about a year ago?
Oh yeah, sure.
We met about a year ago at the Masters, and we were at that Leanne Rimes concert.
That was great.
Oh my God, that was amazing.
Yeah, she was amazing.
And we were at the tent outside. I had a friend who had that caviar stand, and they're like, "Hey, did you get some food from Chef Todd English?" And I was like, "What?" Like I loved you, man. I grew up watching on PBS and everything. I was like, "Oh my God!" So I turned around, and there was a line, and you were at the end of the line serving pieces of steak, and you literally gave me a piece of steak about the size of a nickel.
So generous of me.
And it melted in my mouth. It was the best piece of steak I've ever had. It was so good. What made that steak so good?
That was beautiful Wagyu beef,
oh my God.
which is Yeah, and honestly, I don't eat much meat, and when I do, it's that because why waste your time on anything else when it's so good?
I took
And
my plate and I walked around and I got in the back of the
yeah,
line again. I was like, oh, I got to get another one of those. That was
yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
it was from
Yeah.
Snake River Farms, and they do a great job with their beautiful Wagyu. So it was and they're good friends, and so they were great. They donated all that meat for the charity, so it was great. So it was and it was also fun, and I'm a big golf fan, so it was a great environment. It was great that you were there, and then get to listen to Leon Rhymes and have a couple cocktails. It was a lot of fun. It
It
was a
was
fun
a
night.
lot of fun. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we can't do it this year, but hopefully in November we can.
Oh, yeah, I know. I was paying my
Yeah.
trip back and everything. So tell us what you're working there in Ojai.
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting that I landed in Ojai, and you know how sometimes life sort of leads you in ways, and then you have to sort of listen to what life delivers you. And so, it's one of the vortexes in the
Energy
world,
vortex, right?
energy vortex, yeah. And it's the Valley of Eternal Youth, and so I've been working with my friends. Uh, that own Boku Superfoods, and it's BOKU Superfoods. And so we started working on, okay, these things are great. Sometimes, honestly, I said to my friends, and I'll tell them right now if he's sitting next to me, um, that, you know, I can't choke this down. It tastes terrible. This is awful. And so let's make something that is a pleasure to eat, but also is good for you and gives you all the immune boosting systems and et cetera. I mean, we're working on a vitamin C right now. That is, it's the problem with most, as you know, most vitamin C tablets or pills. There's sugar in them. They don't really, they're not, they're chemically made. They're not really natural made, and they end up not really going into your system. And as we want to make sure that on a daily basis, you can get these nutrients, you can get these immune boosting system. And we're working on an oxygen water. It's super high. I don't remember the count of it, but the idea is this is a new machine that just pumps your blood full of oxygen, which is also huge immune building systems. You could talk more about it than I can, Doc. But these are all things that you know food is really the ideas, and we've talked about this as well. Food is your medicine. Food
Mm-hmm.
is your and I mean start looking at it that way.
But you can also use it like an anti-anxiety drug, though.
Yeah,
People do.
yeah, yes, true, and
it is the best medicine.
It still is, and I mean, if you look at ancient cultures that and you go way back to even Roman times, Greek time. They would eat certain things because they knew that it was about
native cultures here in the U.S.,
yeah,
like Aztecs, Mayans down,
yeah,
yeah.
And even here in Ojai, the Native American culture here was knew for years that this was a special place. Yes, and it's right under our feet. We probably step on it when we're walking on doing hikes, and so I'm learning a lot. And I feel like, look, gonna be 60 this year. Hopefully I'll make it. It's August, so I'm hoping that I'm still
You're gonna be 60 this year?
It's 60 this
year.
So I'm like, I don't know how it happened. I'm like, okay, let's think about moving this in the next the next part of my life where it was all about duck fat and luxury items, if you will. And I'm kind of thinking I want to make luxury accessible and healthy, luxury items and healthy, and make it easy for you to get and taste delicious and feel like. So we're building a cafe, a cafe here, right in the heart of Ojai, and then again building superfood meals around it, frozen foods, etc. that we can
You're gonna have a cafe there in Ojai.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a sit-down, dine-in sort of?
It's walk up counter. I think eventually I might try to do something that's more refined, more refined version of it. But in the
Mhm.
beginning, it's just and we're looking to probably franchise this around the world and in the
Oh,
country, and so that we can, you know, people have an option,
mhm.
and they have an option on and going in and getting, a super shake, a super soup,
And entrees too, or
you
just
know,
sandwiches type of stuff?
super sandwiches, yeah, of course, super bowls, and then basically one of my favorite things I've been working on, and I made one the other day, was the super gelatos, and those are going to be fun, non-dairy based. There's so many great things that go into it we can use, and my favorite was this coconut. Oh my god, it was so good. Coconut, and
You can't even
yeah,
describe it, you're already, like,
it
drooling.
was so good. Yeah, and those are that's what's so fun, with this, to be able to you know make things that are just delicious and you go, wow, are you kidding me? I'm getting X amount of vitamins. I'm getting this. I'm getting that, and
Mhm.
your daily dose of whatever it is we need, and put people in programs and help. I have a very dear good friend of mine that is anemic, and I'm like, what,
Mhm.
So we're trying to help him out of that, and again, food is your medicine, and I think
Yeah.
there's just so many ways around it, and from natural diets. I know you work in obesity. You know, I would as I would assume a lot of this is going to help your metabolism as well
That'd be
work.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
you know,
You know what I dislike is are health food chains that are actually not that healthy for you, like Smoothie King. I mean, I hate to call out a particular franchise, but like the stuff in Smoothie King is really not that healthy for you.
oh my gosh, there's so many. I
But
mean,
it sounds like you're working on something that's really authentically healthy while tasting
yeah,
delicious.
yeah, and I'm not going to go and uh, rag on people, but I think some companies, I think, jump on a bandwagon, um, and there'll be certain bars that are out there that are just loaded in sugar or
Yeah.
fructose, or I mean, think about the enemy, corn syrup. I mean,
Mhm.
those are things that are in your practice. I'm sure it must be the first thing you say you got to cut out. I mean, and if you think about the big companies that produce food and loaded in corn syrup and dextrose and hide things in the food that are just horrible for us.
Or
And
like these protein bars or
yeah,
granola bars
yeah,
that are actually just candy bars.
they're candy bars. Yeah,
They're
just
basically
yeah,
candy.
exactly. So, and I got hooked on them too for a while. I was thinking, oh no, I think I'm doing well with this, and why am I, why am I not benefiting from it? So,
Mhm.
I really want to see things, people benefit from this, and send out a message. We're actually are working on right next to this property in Ohio, which I'm really excited about. And I haven't done this since I was a kid, but I did actually. Uh, is we're going to have a farm, we're going to 8-acre farm, and we're going to use a new GMX product that is actually a natural growth fertilizer that helps to plants grow healthier. It keeps the soil more maintained. So something very excited about that, and keeping the earth healthy as well for things that and just uh, ex- ex- grow vegetables that taste like they're supposed to taste. And I
Mhm.
think that you see that really. I know you live out in California. You know that really is, as far as getting that, and you go to the farmers market, you go, wow, oh, wow,
Yeah.
that's what a beet's supposed to taste like. Or
Yeah, I'm
I've
actually
never.
living in Houston right now.
Oh, you're in Houston now.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
that's great.
I just went out to California a lot. That's probably why you thought
Yeah,
I lived
yeah.
there. Well,
Well, in
I
Houston
think
they
a
have
lot
them
of
too.
people are surprised to find out that um, the U.S. farms are mostly owned by these big conglomerates, and there really aren't mom and pop farms anymore.
Yeah. Well, it just became big government funding, big government, uh,
It's a business.
uh, yeah, business, and a lot of farms are just done are
Monocrop.
yeah, are run by satellites, and
Mhm.
and they basically you know are um, big giant machine, and The sad thing, the part I don't mind that so much as long as they have as long as they maintain a certain practice in farming, and which is
Mhm.
not using these really deadly pesticides,
Right.
etc. And and the biggest problem I also have, uh, and is that I don't know, it's something like $35 billion worth of food gets left in the fields, yet we have millions of kids and people going hungry in this country alone.
Mhm. And they
You
throw
know,
out
and so
imperfect crops,
because
like funny
yeah,
shaped
I was
potatoes and funny shaped
yeah
carrots.
yeah like it's and our we need to look at things differently. I mean, grocery stores will reject, I don't know, something like 75%, 80% of the things because it doesn't look right. My kids, my boys have been working with an imperfect produce, I think it's called here
Mhm.
in LA, and it's a
What?
group that goes in and buys the stuff, the reject stuff, which is perfectly fine. I mean, it just happens to be a carrot with an extra finger on it, or a tomato that's not shaped, or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
And and they'll send you a box of this food, so you belong to this club. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. I mean, they were showing me a bag of quinoa or something that I said, "What's?" They said, "Why? What's the matter with this?" And they said, "Well, it didn't have the right blend of the red quinoa as opposed to the golden quinoa." I'm like, "What? What?" And so it was rejected by a very big company, grocery company, that's that might have whole and might have foods in it. And you know what? And I'm like, yeah, yeah, I'm
Do
like,
you
what?
worry? Do you worry about the human population getting so big that we outgrow our food supply? Are we going to be able to feed 8 billion people, 10 billion people?
If we're smart about it, yes, we can. And if we stop, if you look at just the beef industry alone, how much water it takes, how much
Mhm.
space it takes, how much food it takes, how much, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
It
Yes.
actually takes more calories to raise a cow than you actually get
Yeah.
from a cow.
Yeah. I mean, it's what is it, 2 years to grow a cow, and 18 months to grow a cow, and 2 or 3 weeks to grow a carrot. And let's think about that for a second.
Mhm.
Um, and let's think about uh, us I mean, being able to maintain a a healthier diet, if you
Mhm.
will, because you know we're not loading ourselves, and I am the first one to be guilty of eating a lot of meat and a lot of animals throughout my career and my life, but have seriously always been very much into the Mediterranean diet, and I've been doing that really since the beginning of my career, and believing in that as a guide for dining. And where it's basically 80/20, the 80/20 rule: you eat what's local, you eat what's fresh, you eat what's in season, you eat what's
Mhm.
organic, because it's naturally organic if you can. And if you look at the Greeks, the Italians, and the people that live around the Mediterranean Sea, pretty much that's how they eat. It's pretty much what's in season. If the
Yeah, and you
tomatoes,
taught
onions.
that to eat. I think it's important to eat according to your genetics. For example,
Mm,
I'm
mm,
obviously Asian, so I eat a lot of rice, and
yeah,
rice doesn't have the same effect on my body as it might have on Americans.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
That's true. I mean, very much too. Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah. So, what trends in the culinary world are you really excited about right now?
Well, not to beat a dead carrot, but the thing is really can't say dead horse anymore. But yeah, it's not politically correct. But is this what we're talking about? I think vegetables and
Super.
plant based stuff. I'm most excited about that. And I just there's so much more you can do. I remember at one point somewhere in my mid career, I was cooking, in my restaurants, and I called
Yeah.
up my butcher and I said, all right, I'm sick of the same old animals. Do we have any other animals you can send me to cook? And I was like, wait a second, that's a disgusting thought.
Yeah.
I started going. I said, you know what? And always my menus were a lot of vegetable based stuff, and I was like, no, stick to vegetables and legumes and plant based. and you can get so creative, and there's so many people that are doing such great stuff with that out there now. And uh, you can't get a reservation at John George's ABC Vegan, in New
Wow.
York. Well, you couldn't when it was open, and so people are saying, okay, let's look at this. Let's look at this, and I really believe there's certainly that, and we are going to find that coming out of this. I really hope that people start saying, okay,
So,
let's look at what our diets are.
so I was so excited. I was so happy to see the whole foam trend go away. What culinary trend are you hoping will go away?
Again, um, I think that it has to do with just the steakhouses, meat, things like
Mm,
that. I'd hope that that we look at that in a different way. That we say,
yeah.
okay, let's try uh, a different way of looking at food, um, and
And to be clear,
I
you don't have anything against meat. You just would
no.
for a higher quality or higher level of meat.
Yeah, I think that when you do, I think we just need to eat less. That's it. I think that I think the world would be a better place, and I think that,
Yeah.
like you said, we're going to be able to feed those kind of people. That
I'd love
I
to
mean, the
see
more
like these
people,
gigantic portion sizes go back to normal sizes.
yeah, oof,
You know,
that's such an American thing, right? I
I
mean, it's
know.
crazy.
But
I
it's
mean,
caught on to the other parts of the world too. When you
yeah,
travel, you're starting to see bigger plates, bigger portions in other places too.
yeah. I thought I saw it going the other way for a while, and now I think when we went through the financial crisis in 2008, 9, 10, the portions got bigger again, and I think
Yeah.
that people wanted to feel like they're getting what they're paying for, or
Mhm.
whatever it is. And if you go to places like Japan, I had a restaurant in Japan for years and years, and I love Japan, and it's very much about smaller portions,
Yeah.
and and Wagyu beef comes from Japan, and
Right.
it's you eat 2 ounces of it and you're satisfied. 3 ounces of it,
So
and
rich.
that's a good. Yeah, it's rich, it's delicious, you're satisfied. I really believe, and you must run into this all the time in your practice stuff. I mean, think about it. The reason that people don't stop eating is because they aren't getting the right nutrients, they aren't feeling satisfied, and they continue to eat and eat the wrong things, and
Yep.
then therefore gain
It's
weight.
a cycle.
And right,
Mhm.
it's a vicious cycle, right? I mean, have you ever really? And I'd be curious to ask anybody tuning in today, are you really satisfied? I mean, do I
Yeah.
love a
No,
Chick-fil-A
we've
sandwich? But
identified that where your people are obese, but they're actually malnourished. They're
exactly.
often deficient in lots of vitamins, and so we run a
Yeah,
full panel on patients and stuff too.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so with this coronavirus, there's concern about increase in alcoholism because people are stuck at home. Tell us about cocktails. What are your thoughts on cocktails and wine? And is it a sin?
Uh,
Is it abuse?
no, no. I mean, look, if you have trouble issues with it, then yes, you think about it. I just and I go in and out of you know taking breaks, but from the standpoint of my life and my lifestyle, I think, look, the Mediterranean diet says 2 glasses of red wine are
Yeah,
good for you in a day,
a
one to
day.
2 glasses. You know,
Yeah.
I think if you keep it at that, or you keep it at something that's reasonable, then it's certainly, and is okay. I think as far as blood sugar and about how your body processes it, and et cetera. If you handle it and it's mixed the right way, you're fine. I
Mhm.
feel, again, and I'm not a doctor, so don't take my word for it. I'll take your stock, but but just from what I feel is important in our life, and because listen, and this is the whole thing that I think is important, is that you still dining is one of those sort of dining and food and sitting around the table with your family and your friends is very much as part of feeling good in life and
Mhm.
enjoying life. And if you don't do that, then you're not going to enjoy your food. You're not going to enjoy your family and your friends. And I just watched something that was really moving. Somebody sent to me about Steve. One of the things that Steve Jobs wrote on his deathbed about how doesn't matter how wealthy you are, but your wealth is your health, and your wealth is your people around you, and your friends and your family. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you drive a $300,000 car or a $30,000 car. What's on your plate, sharing that food, sharing that time with each other, is so important to health and wellness, and being satisfied with what you're, you know, and if you lose track of that, I mean, I always say food is our greatest democracy. It's what creates us all equal and keeping us around the table, keeping us healthy, and especially in a time like this when we realize how fragile we really are.
I love that. Food is our greatest democracy. Yeah.
And how susceptible we are to, something like this, and God, I mean, happening, and I've had chef friends, get sick with this. One passed away, a dear friend, and I was like, we really have to think about our world and what are we eating.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, did this come from a bat? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
we can get into that here in a second. Actually, controversial.
Yeah.
I always like controversial topics. So, one of my viewers, followers wanted me to ask you, like, most chefs say they got their cooking skills or inspiration from their mothers and grandmothers, but why is the industry therefore dominated by mostly men?
I think it just started that way. I think, and not so much times now, but I think, in times when, let's say, 16th, 17th century, when chefs became, a profession, if you will, it was rugged. It's rugged in the kitchen. Not to say that most women can't handle it, but it's just became that was sort of the what people did. But if you go to a lot of cultures and a lot of cuisines, I mean, I worked in Italy, and it's mostly women in the kitchen, and mamas are cooking, and so I look at it as women are a lot better cooks than men in most cases, and and we get our nurturing from our mothers, and still to this day, I still talk about my grandmother's amazing cooking, and she was from Calabria. And
do you have a couple of young up and coming chefs you'd like to throw some love at right now?
Well, one is my daughter, who's amazing, Isabel, and she's the corporate chef for Williams Sonoma in their corporate kitchen. So she's doing some great stuff, writing their books for them, doing their food photography, their styling, and coming up with great ideas, and runs a lot of their events. So she's really kicking ass, if you will, and she's doing a great job.
So Isabel English is one to look at. Who else is up and coming that you see in the culinary world that's trying to be the next big splash?
God, I mean, there's so many, that I know and I love, that are coming up from, I just want everybody to get back in the kitchen and working. I mean, I think that's what we need to do. And we need to be everybody needs, I know that, everybody's ready to go and chomping at the bit to get back in the kitchen. And I think that, even us old guys that have been doing this a long time are, saying we want to get back and appreciate it even more than we have. The fact, the daily act of cooking and doing things, the food that we love, and and trying to push new frontiers in these industries.
That's awesome. So before we get on to our coronavirus quiz, which I know you're looking forward to, where can people follow you, or where can they find you? What you're doing next? Your new project to know how.
At Chef, and my IG is at Chef Todd English. It's also my my Facebook as well. So there's ways to that way, and then also ToddEnglish.com.
ToddEnglish.com.
Yeah.
So Chef Todd English across all social media platforms. That's awesome. All right. Have you been beefing up on your coronavirus trivia?
I think so. Maybe. I try not to watch too much TV.
Yeah, that's
kind
good.
of because
Okay.
I don't.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
okay,
I
we'll
get my
start off.
daily dose every morning, and that's enough, and maybe at night. Yeah.
All right. We'll
Okay.
start off with an easy one. All right.
All right.
True or false, Chef? Coronavirus is a RNA virus.
Don't know. Don't know.
Well, it's true or false.
I don't know.
Flip a coin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's true. Let's say
it's
true.
actually true. Good job. Good job guessing. Yeah,
Yes.
you have two types of viruses, RNA and DNA, and so coronavirus happens to be an RNA virus. That's really
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
So coronavirus attacks our respiratory system, but true or false? Coronavirus has been found in stool samples. True or false?
False.
It's actually true. This is
It has
quite
to be true.
interesting. Yeah. So it's in our lungs and it makes us sick from our lungs, but somehow it's getting into our stool, our GI tract. We think that stomach acid should destroy it. So there's probably some component where it's going from our bloodstream through our cell walls into our GI tract, into our digestive tract, and showing up in our stools.
Ooh. Okay.
Unless you're scratching your nose and picking your ass or something like that, back and forth.
Yeah. Nasty virus.
Yeah, it is a nasty virus. True or false? Stomach upset, GI distress is a common coronavirus symptom.
Stress? Yeah, I think so.
GI upset is a common coronavirus symptom.
I don't know that. No, I don't think so. I think that it affects more the respiratory, right? I mean, and I guess I had heard that you lose your sense of smell.
Yeah, it's actually true. A lot of patients are presenting with like diarrhea, loose stools.
Really?
Yeah.
So like more like flu-like. Okay.
It's like flu plus. Like it's got your usual coughing, runny nose, body aches, stuff like that, chills, and then it's got plus stomach ache, plus diarrhea.
Really? I haven't heard that. Okay.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. Well, how about people that have had it, and it doesn't affect them as much? I mean, what is your theory on that?
Well, it's actually pretty well. So there are a lot of asymptomatic carriers. We estimate anywhere from 20 to 30% of asymptomatic carriers. And there's always two parts of the equation, right? There's the virus, in this case, coronavirus, and then the host. So who it attacks? Is it attacking someone who's relatively young and healthy, or is it attacking someone old, for example? And I think, I rarely get sick because I have a really strong immune system. And about a month ago, one night, I had really bad chills. I felt bad starting at 6 p.m. I had chills all night long. And then I never had a fever. My chills broke about 3 a.m, and then I woke up and I was fine. I was like, bad news, honey. I'm still alive.
She just called the insurance company.
Kill me that bad. Yeah. But then my girlfriend right after that came down with it, and she was bad for a week. She was really weak and sick for a week. Yeah. So true or false? Last one. True or false? There will be a second wave of coronavirus in the fall.
I would say that's true.
Yeah. So unfortunately, that is true because we know from the epidemiology of coronaviruses, it comes in different waves, and we're about to. It'll settle down here in the summer, and then it'll come back in the fall. But in the fall, by that time, hopefully, we will have people that have been exposed to it, that have recovered, that are healthy, and so they'll have some immunity.
It's just, in this virus, is it like other viruses where there is a vaccine that will be like smallpox or like
so that's our hope. So we're pretty sure that this coronavirus will stay stable, which means you can develop a vaccine for it. Now, how long does immunity last depends on the virus that we're not exactly sure about. So like you said, chickenpox, for example, you probably got vaccinated when you were a little kid or had it when you were a little kid, and that it gives lifelong immunity, and the reason why is because that virus is very stable, it doesn't change. But coronavirus might change a little
mutates, right,
bit.
into something
It
else,
mutates a
right?
little bit. Yep. And so the coronavirus vaccination might be something that gives you a few years of immunity. You might have to repeat it. You might have to have a couple of doses. They're just not sure yet. But anyway, we are at least at the earliest 12 months away from a vaccine at the earliest. Which goes back to our previous conversation about when are people going to feel safe to go back to restaurants? A long time before we go back to sporting events and big concerts and stuff like that.
I mean, I hope that we are going to go back sooner than later. I mean, we have to eat, but I think it will be months. And I think in a year from now we might be having a different conversation, and I think places will be busy again. So
hey, for our last 5 or 10 minutes on, you've been really generous with your time. I want to take some deeper questions. So get your
have a lot of time.
Chef Todd.
Do we have a lot of time?
Yeah, we're all sitting around here.
Yeah.
Okay, here's some controversial stuff. Do you think that the virus developed in a Chinese lab? I always like my question.
I think so.
You think so?
The more I read, I think somehow or another it was found, and I think maybe it was being experimented with, and maybe it leaked out. I don't know the answer on that. I just think that there was some way that it was developed outside of the wet markets.
You think so?
Yeah.
Have you in your travels as a chef, have you been to a wet market?
Yeah.
And
I was disgusted. Yeah, I was disgusted. I couldn't. I was like watching things. Yeah, everything live, everything getting hacked up. It was pretty much, and I used to have my show, Food Trip, and for years on PBS, and so we went some pretty wild places, and even in some South American markets, but they weren't as bad as the Chinese. Some of the Asian markets I saw, especially in China, and I get the whole idea that they want fresh, and the culture wants it fresh, and still in Chinatown in Boston for years there was you could go down and get live chickens, and there's still, I think those places still exist, live kill fresh poultry, and okay, I get that. That's a bird and we eat it. But, again, that bird was something that also gave us SARS, so we have to think about how we're handling these and what we're eating. And I get it. People need to eat. And sometimes they're in desperate modes, and you eat things that one would eat things that, they eat.
Across Canada wants to know, will you use robot cooks to help you in the future? Do you think there will be robot cooks?
Yes.
Or a robot bartender?
100%. Yeah, I mean, coffee machines are basically robots now. If you think about it.
How about something more complicated than a coffee machine? Because I saw that bartender, the robot
100%.
that does mix up cocktails.
One of the things I'm actually working on in Dubai right now is around robotics, and they're very advanced in a museum there. Wow. So it's something that I think is 100% in our future. I think that we're gonna. It's a great question, by the way. Angela, thank you. I think that I think that we're going to see a lot more of that, and even in vending machines, etc.
Big smart.
Yeah, because it's just going to be a part of our life as well as automated cars, and as well as is the airline industry going to be the same? I travel a lot on planes. Are we going to be flying around in?
And Angela Ostrowski wants to know, what is the strangest thing you've ever eaten?
I've eaten a lot of strange things.
Don't say bat, dude. Don't say bat.
No, I have never eaten bat. Thank God. I had, in northern Thailand, I was filming my show up in Chiang Mai, outside of Chiang Mai, in the jungles there, and where there was a huge German influence there, but there was also. They basically are a culture that still eats bugs, a lot of bugs, and that's their protein. I mean, if you think about crickets in Mexico, cricket flour, all those things that have become sort of semi-fashionable, I guess, because they're high in protein. I ate it was a roasted beehive and the larva.
Beehive. Yeah. Was that good? Didn't taste good.
It was so bitter and so awful. I ate bamboo worms. I mean, you think I always joke about it. I think about this. I laugh. I think, okay, so when we are growing up, we ate French. I grew up, around French chefs, so we ate escargot. Well, that's a snail,
Yeah.
and we put it in lots of garlic butter. The best part about escargot is what? The butter. I mean, or how about frog legs? Just to give you.
Annalise Isaacson wants to know, Chef Todd, what's the best brand of cooking pots you've used, and what do you think about all-clad pots?
Alcott does a great job. I think they're nice, but then there's always the Todd English brand as well. And so just had to be careful. I mean, obviously Teflon has been outlawed, so anything that has to do with Teflon, which is a polytetrafluoroethylene based product, which is plastic, synthetic based, petroleum based, etc., which has been now outlawed. We cannot use that anymore, and it's not determined. But they're not the new nonsticks are good because of ceramic, etc. That's what I introduced many years ago.
The ceramic.
Ceramic cookware. And now we have a new brand that I'm coming out with, which is lava based, which is good. So anything natural that is a natural based, made of the earth product, use that if you can.
That's great.
Stay close to the earth, like with the food. Stay close to the earth.
Great advice. Sandra Davison wants to know: do you think we will see more cooking with what we call weeds, like unusual plants?
Cannabis? That's a weed. Yes. Hemp, cannabis. Yes. I've always loved that, and I have a friend of mine that's a botanist. So we go out and we pick. The other day I was on a hike here, and we went and we picked wild fennel. We picked a spinach, a wild spinach called Admiral's weed, or something like that. So,
foraging is pretty big.
It's called. I'm sorry.
Foraging.
Yeah, foraging. I like that. And I think we're gonna. Another thing, Sandra, is a very good question, by the way. I think mushrooms are going to be playing a really big part in our life, and I think you're going to see mushrooms take front and center stage in many ways. And there's all sorts of theories that we are just big mushrooms anyway.
Yeah,
humans are just big mushrooms. And I don't mean to fungus on your toes.
A lot of people don't know what purslane is, but it grows everywhere. People,
I love purslane. Yeah, I see it on the golf course. I see it everywhere. Yeah. I mean, mosh is another one. Lamb's lettuce, they call it. That's a weed that grows in the fields, and it's delicious and it's very, very delicate. Now it's grown, commercially, but it was initially. You would pick it in the fields. Dandelion is another one that I love.
Patricia Lilly wants to know, how should we clean our produce?
Yeah, great question. I soak it with some sort of alkaline in the salt. Salt works as well. A little bit of salt, and make sure that you're buying, and also just make sure you're buying from a good source. Farmers markets are typically better ways to look, because if local farms are not using pesticides that maybe some of the bigger farms are using. But always wash your produce, but 100%.
Kathleen,
good question.
Kathleen Brady says dandelions are good. What about chickweed? Grace Ann,
what's good? Yeah, chickweed. That's a good one. Yeah, I mean, it's a little bitter, but I haven't had it in a while, but it's good for sure.
Amy Miskell wants to know, how do you cook purslane? You just use the green?
Oh no, I eat it raw. Yeah, I've never cooked it.
Eat it raw. Yeah.
And then look at also what comes from the sea too. I think some of the seaweeds are really good, and I love pousse-pied. They call it in French, or sea beans, which are like looks like a green. Yeah, it looks like a green bean. It's really good.
We have a bunch of that down in Galveston. We can do all of that. Do you lose nutrients if you dehydrate arugula or spinach or kale? Do you lose the nutrients?
Yeah, I love kale chips. That's the only way I actually really like kale. I mean, our stew will help out of it.
You're like, kale, no.
I just got
one of the
tired of it. I'm like, hell no. Go to kale.
Do you ever use any artificial sweeteners?
Yeah, of course. But obviously, I really try to stay close to doing things that are natural now, and going to different sources, whether it's coconut sugar,
Mm-hmm.
but just
All day.
yeah, stay away from Diet Cokes, please, people. It's just terrible. It's just terrible. I
Uh,
mean, you must see that
yeah,
in your practice stock. You must people.
we get rid of
So
artificial
I
sweeteners.
won't even serve it in my restaurants.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. Superfan
Um,
Ivy Fry wants to know, Chef, what is your philosophy towards your employees in the kitchen? That's a
I
great.
love my
We
I
can end.
love my I love my employees in the kitchen. Yeah, I mean, it's so great, and they're like family, you know, and we spend a lot of time with each other. So you have to really, get along and enjoy each other's company, and spend a time, and respect them and teach them and love them, and yeah, I mean, they're the core of my business, and I can't live without them. And
Are there any qualities you're looking for in like a sous chef or an up and coming chef?
yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, desire. I mean, we can teach you pretty much everything, but if you want to learn, and you love it, you got to love it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there's no question. You're not gonna, most, it's a hard profession. It's long hours. It's hot. It's pressure cooked in some cases, and then, and so you need to have the desire. You want to know, you want to learn, you want to bring new ideas, you want to bring fresh things to the kitchen. You read about it, you sleep on it. I mean, I was, you know, it's crazy. Even today, I'm so crazy. I'll pick up books, etc., and do all sorts of things all the time. So it's crazy.
You got
So
to be obsessive about it.
yeah, you got to be obsessive.
Like
It really
surgery.
is. Yeah, like surgery. Right?
Like
Yeah,
surgery. That's
yeah.
awesome. You've been known to do a lot of charity work. Is there a particular charity you like to highlight today?
Well, I think breast cancer. My sister passed breast cancer. Do a lot of work with Susan B. Komen, et cetera. And my sister's foundation, which is the Wendy English Research Foundation, to help get rid of this horrible thing that grows inside us. And I really, in all forms of cancer. Um, and I'm hoping that, this sort of next journey in my life, which is through superfoods and through oxygenated water, et cetera, that we find things that can help us keep our bodies in that state of, I guess cancer is always in our bodies, but keep that high alkaline state and not the acidic state that allows tumors and cancer to grow on our cells, et cetera. And so I'm not a doctor, but I will tell you that, I want to help serve food and give people food that not only tastes good, but nutritious and delicious, as they say, Doc.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Chef, we are at our end of our hour.
I had a great time. That was a quick hour. A lot of fun.
I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank you for everything you've done. You've been such an inspiration. You're just a recognized leader in your field, all your charity work, all your great food, all your great restaurants. And I wish you only the best. If people wanted to follow you or connect with you one more time, where do they find you?
Yeah, I'm on my IG mostly. Instagram, it is at Chef Todd English.
Chef
Todd. Join me. I'm going to be doing some more live cooking, etc., this afternoon and tomorrow. So yeah, hang out and we'll cook together, have some fun, and let's all get out of this healthy and safely, and hopefully life will be back to some sort of order very soon.
All right. Well, you're amazing, man. Thank you so much.
You too, bro.
We'll follow up there.
All right.
Woo! Give it up for Chef, everybody. Come on. Chef Todd English in the house. Gave an hour of his time. Took your viewer questions, broke down what's happening in the restaurant industry, how we're going to recover the new normal that's going to happen. I hope you guys are enjoying these edutainment series. Tomorrow we have Potsy from Happy Days coming on. Anson Williams, Potsy from Happy Days will be on tomorrow at noon, same time, Sunday noon, Central Standard Time. And I hope you guys will tune in. I hope you will spread the word that, crazy ass Dr. V, we're doing edutainment. We're going to educate you about your health and happiness and goals and coronavirus and everything relevant, but also do it in an entertaining way with our celebrity guests and speakers and stars and musicians. If you have a loved one who's a celebrity or musician or artist or anyone that you can connect me with, just send me a personal message. I'd love to have them on the broadcast. Thank you so much. Also, if you have connections with your other celebrity chefs, let me know. Love to have them on here also. And just, elevate our thinking and level of consciousness. As always, during this time, much love and respect and well wishes going out to our healthcare workers, our doctors, nurses, phlebotomists, lab techs, everybody on the front lines during this coronavirus pandemic. And y'all stay safe, right? Y'all stay safe. And thank you for everything that you do. Thank you, guys. See you next time. See you tomorrow with Potsy from Happy Days. Bye.